Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We do apologize for the glitches. The system today was giving some issues. I hope Luazi will rejoin us. What I'm gonna do now is just reintroduce Ede, and then we want to welcome everyone to this session. We thank you for taking your time and trying to join us. The purpose of this session is to ensure that we know how to invest in the township economy. We're trying to rebuild the economic investment portfolio in township economy. We have got two guest speakers. One is Luazi, and then one is Ede. And then their focus, Ede will be focusing on the how to structure personal and the investment portfolio for the business. And then Luazi will giving us an overview of the economy, how to invest in the township economy. We're hoping that we're gonna start with Luazi, but now Luazi is still trying to reconnect to this session. What you're gonna do now, I'm gonna start with Ede, and then from there, Luazi will take over. From what Ede has shared with us, highlight of a career. She has studied to become majoring in finance and investment. She went to University of Western Cape, and she further completed a postgraduate diploma with Free State University. And then she was majoring in asset type and investment planning. And then she's currently studying honors with UNISA in financial management. And she's also enrolled for master's degree with the University of Western Cape. She's researching on the retirement planning in South Africa. And then her very strong focus is on the investment and retirement planning. And then outside of her work, she likes cooking, she likes reading, and she likes baking. And then Ede is passionate for traveling. She has traveled to 12 countries in Africa, and also she enjoys reading the books. Currently, she's an advisor for high net clients. She focuses on the long-term insurance and also investment. She's working in the banking sector, and she's looking after the portfolios above 200 million. And then we believe that tonight we're gonna learn from her skills. She'll be parting in knowledge with us. As I'll be welcoming Ede to the stage or to share with us a presentation. And we are hoping that by end of this session, we're gonna improve our income bracket, and then we'll be worthy to be advised by you. Thank you. You may plug your presentation.
Thank you for having me, Teddy, and for inviting me to speak to your members. And good evening, everyone. It is indeed a privilege to find myself in this platform to share the little knowledge that I have to share with regards to investments, personal investments. So just a point of correction, I'm no longer in the banking sector. I have moved to an investment firm where we don't do banking products. We mainly specialize in investments for clients and businesses as well as structures. And we currently managing assets under management. Our assets under management are around 80 billion rand, and within the firm we each share in the target, and that is a target of basically bringing in new investments into the company. So what I thought I could share with everyone is just the basics of financial planning, because with the way how the economy is moving, and if one is to talk about business, setting up business in the township, or it be even online businesses, since this day it's the new hip and runs that's happening, you still need to have a financial plan in place when you are setting up your business. So when we look at the township structure, because it's a bit different from businesses that are being set up online, for example, or businesses that are being set up in industrial areas. So the township concept is a bit different. So now I will first just spend a minute or two talking about the 6 steps of financial planning, and I will talk of how I bring that together with how one can actually align the 6 steps of personal financial planning with setting up a business, and just using the same principles, because I want to believe that those principles still remain fundamental and they can be applied everywhere. So now in long-term insurance and personal investment planning, we talk of the 6 steps of financial planning. And these are the steps that when you consult a financial advisor, they will have to adhere to when they are structuring your portfolio, or when you're consulting with them. It may even be just for a simple product like savings. They need to adhere to the 6 steps of financial planning, as they serve as a guideline, or they actually serve as a guideline on how they can better solution you. The first step, it talks about establishing and defining the relationship with a client. Now, that is where you get an advisor that needs to sit down with you and get to know you, and just establish a relationship with you to find out what are your personal goals, where are you going with your finances, what do you need help with. And the second step talks about collecting clients' information. When it comes to collecting clients' information, that's still the basic clients' information that one would share with an advisor, be it in the branch, at a bank, or an advisor from insurance companies. They need to gather as much information as possible from you as a client. Then in gathering that information, they need to use that information to do an analysis. And that is the third step that talks about analyzing and assessing clients' financial circumstances. Then when we move on to the 4th step, it talks about developing a financial plan. The advisor has gathered your information, they've done an analysis, now they need to develop a financial plan and present recommendation based on the information that you have provided them. And then moving on to the 5th step, it talks about implementation. This is now where we get to implement your financial plan, your financial strategy. We get to implement the recommendation that would have been recommended by the financial advisor. The last step is what we call the reviewing phase. In the review phase, that is where we basically just review your financial plan. You don't draft a financial plan or a strategy, a financial strategy, and just leave it hanging as it is. No, you constantly need to review it on an annual basis. That's the recommended time frame from the regulators, that on an annual basis, the financial plan must be reviewed. So now, how do we bring those 6 steps of personal financial planning into the business sector, mainly focusing on the township scenarios? I'll try and use some examples just to try and align everything together. Establishing and defining the relationship with a client. In this case, this is someone who wants to start a business, for example, in the township. First and foremost, you need to basically establish your grounds in that township. And when you're establishing your grounds, it also involves doing your research as to what type of business do you want to open? Where do you want to open it? What do you want to do? What do you want to sell to your clients? Do you want to sell products, or do you want to sell services? And that goes hand in hand with the collecting of information, because now you're collecting data. Obviously, you are not doing it on an academic level, but you are doing it on the level that is suitable to the environment that you're in. You are collecting information, you're gathering information. This is now where you need to try and establish and identify your potential clients, your target market. Who are you going to sell your products to? Now, when we talk about analyzing, this is basically the cream of the top, whereby you need to sit down and analyze and strategize, and you must dig deeper into your information to try and find the gap that is missing in the market that you would have identified. That's now the analyzing phase. And when we speak of development, that you now need to basically have a recommendation and develop your plan that you would have analyzed. You need to develop the plan that you would have spent time, hours, and probably months of establishing that financial plan or strategy. And the implementation part, that's just where the business needs to hit the ground running. And the review part, which is the last part. And I feel like a lot of small business owners, a lot of them fail when it comes to the reviewing element of their businesses. You need to constantly review the plans you had initially when you started your business. The reason being that the market is forever evolving. So is the clients. The clients that you perhaps catered to 20 years ago are not the same clients that you're catering to today. And their taste buds have also probably changed. They don't taste the flour, for example, they don't taste the cake that you were probably baking in the same manner as they used to taste it, maybe because two streets down the road, someone else has also opened a bakery. I'm just using as an example. So now they become exposed to another taste element of the cake that, oh, okay, the cake 2 streets down the road actually tastes better than the cake I was previously eating from the shop that I was buying at. So it's very important for one to really pay attention on the review element of your strategy, that you need to constantly review it all the times. You don't draw your strategy, you don't draw your plan and think that it's enough. No, you must constantly review it, because the market is forever changing. The economy is forever changing. Presidents will never remain the same throughout your lifetime. So that is just one of the reasons that why you constantly have to review your plan. And that's just about it from me. I hope I was still within the time.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ere. Nice presentation on how we can structure what are the steps that we can use to structure our financial planning, so that when we meet the financial advisor or those who are supposed to advise us, we don't leave our finance to them. We also need to engage them, and then where they feel that we're not being advised correctly, we are able to seek more information. But if you don't know, any advice goes, and then you end up even meeting the scammers promising you that you're going to be rich in 5 days, or in 10 days, you're going to have 1 million. And then you take all your the children inheritance and then you give it to them, and then you can't find them. Now with the growth of internet, the scammers are looking out for us. They want to scam us. But what, in consideration of time, what we'll do, we'll just go to Lwazi. I think after Lwazi, what we can do, can just go through the questions that I've prepared for you guys, and then the people who are participating also, they can just put some questions where they need clarity or where they need understanding. Lwazi, can I just hand over to you? Oh, sorry, let me just, sorry, forgot to even introduce you because we were having the challenges. Let me just go through okay, but I know it by head. Okay, Lwazi is actual manager at the Labor Department, which is under UIF, Unemployed Insurance Fund. And then Lwazi studied at VETS. He studied BScience in actuarial science. And then Lwazi has worked in different sectors. He has worked in the financial sector. He has worked in the banking sector. And then there's involved in the pricing of the products. He's involved in the valuation of the portfolios. Is well-seasoned actuary. We believe that you'll also have to explain to us, Lwazi, as you take over, that last year our UIF was 141. Now you've just worked the new model, pricing model, you've just increased it close to 200, which is 171. We don't know what pressures is UIF getting that you reworked your model. Lwazi, please, you can plug your presentation as we welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teddy. I would like to apologize because I had to switch gadgets. Now I'm using my cell phone. I don't know what was happening with the laptop. It doesn't seem to be, you can't seem to be hearing me on the other side. But if you can on your side, Teddy, because I did send you my presentation, if you can flight it for me, or I'll just speak to it, even if you don't flight it. Now, thank you very much for the introduction and good evening to everybody on the webinar. So yeah, I just want to put a few disclaimers. What I'm going to present here is not like financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Also, because I work for the Department of Labor, I can only give out publicly available information like the question you have just asked. So you asked why we increased the contribution rate. So basically what happened is that the fund has realized that previously you were actually paying a lower contributing rate salary compared to the benefit salary. So we just had to bring them in line to 17,000 rands per annum. So the 1% of that then of the employer and the employee then gives us the 177. So let me start with the presentation. So my presentation tonight is about the investment portfolio in the township economy. I'm just going to start speaking generally about the economy, and then I will then delve into the township economy towards the end. So first, I just like to mention that South Africa is a very unequal society with a Gini coefficient of 63%. So don't mind too much about the jargon. Maybe most of you will know it. I think there are people who are more knowledgeable than me here. But for those who might not understand the jargon, don't worry too much. So basically what that says is that our income gap, it's in a severe state. Basically, South Africa is #1 in the world in terms of income inequality distribution. The world average currently is sitting at 35.45% compared to ours, which is at 63%. So you can actually see that if you compare Santin and Alex, that gives you a clear picture of what is happening in South Africa today. Let me just give some economic indicators as well. Just quick ones. Our GDP is currently sitting at about 4.7 trillion. It has come down because before COVID, it used to be about 6.5 trillion. And our GDP in the last quarter only expanded by 1.9%, which is way, way below from what the government is actually estimating that we should be growing at to be creating jobs. Our debt to GDP ratio is also increased and is expected to reach about 75% by the end of the year. Interest rates are also on the rise. As we hear from the South African Reserve Bank, they're saying that the increasing interest rates should just to try and stem the increase or the rise in inflation. So there's some economists and other knowledgeable people will argue why that method is right or is wrong, but I won't get into it here. Our inflation rate, as you have seen, it has recently jumped above the bracket to 6.5% in May. So we are already breaking all the wrong numbers. Our unemployment is currently sitting at 34.5%. At 34.5%. It has come down from 35.3% in the previous quarter. That was the ILO definition. On the expanded definition, our unemployment is sitting at 45.5%. So basically, if you really take the number of people who are not working in South Africa, you'll actually see a very dire picture, because it's actually out of the 40 million eligible people, we have got about 14 million who are working. So that gives you a picture of about 63% of the population that is not working. Also on the government tax revenue side, the government is currently collecting around, I think in 2020, 2021, or 2021, 2022, they collected about 1.6 trillion. But our budget for the year is about 2.16 trillion. So there is a huge budget deficit that the government needs to cover. So clearly, we can see that the economic indicators are painting a very bleak picture on our side. There's been some studies which have been done by the Indulamity Barometer. There's also Mapungube Institute. All of them, they paint to a failing state. When I move into type of investments now, before I delve into the investment portfolio in the township. In the formal sector, you have got different types of investors or vehicles that you can use. So basically, quickly, it's bonds, equities, cash, property, and commodities. But those type of investments are normally for people who are well off, who can afford to purchase these products. Many other people have not yet been integrated into the mainstream economy, and the patterns of ownership, as we all know, still favor those who were previously advantaged. So money circulation. So money circulation by race. There's been studies that have been done. It has been found that, amongst the Asians, money will stay for 28 days amongst themselves without moving into another race. And for Jewish people, it's 19 days. For white people, it's 17 days. And for us, black communities, money only sits with us for only 6 hours, and then it moves into another race. So funding for your business. So what ideas you can use to fund your business, especially if you want to do business in the township? So you can self-fund your business, or you can get into venture capital from private funders, or you can use crowdfunding methodologies where you come together as a group of people like Stockfells, and then you put money together and then you go and start a business. You can get a small loan from a bank, or you can use some of the government funding agencies to get loans. For example, in Gauteng, we have got the Gauteng Infrastructure Financing Agency, we have got the Gauteng Partnership Fund, we have got the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller, a small enterprise finance agency, and many others. So some of these funding agencies, however, they do require your business to be already existing, and you must meet certain thresholds. For example, they will say that maybe your business must have a turnover of about R1 million, which is unaffordable for many people. So now to delve into the township economy. So you can't speak about the township economy without speaking about the Township Economic Development Act, what we call TEDA. So it was a bill for most of the time, and it has recently been signed into law by the Premier, Mr. David Makura. So basically, the act is aimed at addressing the legacy of apartheid, the legacy that apartheid left on our townships, and is meant to open up new procurement and market opportunities for township businesses. There's also an appetite by other provinces to develop similar legislation and ensure dedicated and focused attention in those areas that are historically were marginalized. So in an article that I recently read on the Business Day, Dada Morero, who maybe most of you guys know, is the chairperson of the ANC in the Greater Johannesburg region. He says that the act will actually mainstream inclusive investment in the township. Further, Parkstar, who also states that the act itself, it will bring townships closer to the mainstream economic opportunities, will close the disconnectedness of urban versus peri-urban class divides, and promote convergence between the formal and the informal economies. So the act itself, what I read it and tried to summarize it myself in the head. I won't give everything that's in the act. Anybody who's interested who wants to invest in the townships can go and read the act so that they can understand exactly what the act wants to do. So basically, in summary, they want to provide for the licensing of enterprises in the township. So what they found out in their studies is that about 90% of businesses in the township are actually not banked. So because they are not banked, they cannot actually even get loans from all these funding agencies. Probably they don't even have a IRP5. So also they also want to provide a basic business support, a financial support for these businesses so that they can scale up. So they also they say that they can provide loans that will go up to 5 million, depending on the type of business that you're gonna be doing. So they also speak about in the act that they want to create industrial hubs in the townships for manufacturing, so that people don't have to go to for example, to Johannesburg to look for work. They can get work next to the areas where they live. What is really interesting about this Township Economic Development Act is that they say they want to form enterprise zones within the township. So those enterprise zones will then get what they call stacked benefits from the government. So basically, if let's say you belong into a certain economic zone that they've demarcated, so businesses that will be operating in those economic zones will probably like get tax breaks, they'll get preferential procurement, the government will prioritize financing those businesses in those special economic zones. They will also assist those same businesses to get agreements with suppliers, so that the maybe like contracts of up to a year or 2 years, so for regular supply of businesses between the two entities. So they also say that in the act, they want people in the townships to manufacture what they use. As a simple example, for example, bread that we eat in the township. For example, in Soweto, we've got about a population of 1.8 million. Who knows where they get their bread? So they're saying that we should be manufacturing the things that we use and consume in the townships. And the people that stay in the township should be spending their money where they stay, which is in the townships. Also, the act also addresses the footprints that, for example, Soweto people would go to Johannesburg for many of their amenities. So the act wants to cap that. Let me just move quickly. Okay, so the Gauteng Township business here, I just wrote a simple illustration again. They are saying that the township business are actually known for taxi ownership, taverns, quarter shops, spaza shop, tomato, etc. And they say 90% of the businesses in the townships don't have a bank account and can't meet regulations for procurement and loans, as an example. And they say that many of the township businesses at the moment are actually survivalists and the margins are very low. This one is selling tomatoes there, that one is selling bananas there. So they want to formalize the economy so that the informal and the formal economy can meet somewhere. Listening to one of the government employees, you are saying that they've got about 10,000 businesses registered on their database. The act wants to reduce that number so that people can come together, you know, and form groupings, so that they, when they want to procure, they procure as a group. When they want to ask for funding to start factories, etc., then they can go into the government as a group. The Gauteng government, for example, has got about 45 billion rands to spend annually. So that they are saying that 45 billion, about 40% of it, or around 17 billion, will then be allocated into these special zones. It will be demarcated for assistance in those special economic zones. So the township numbers, if you want to see how big the township economy is, the Gauteng town, in Gauteng alone, we've got about 9 million people who are living in the townships. Overall in South Africa, it's about 22 million people who are living in the townships. And the economic size of Gauteng townships is about 100 billion, and nationally it's about 400 billion. So as you can see, there's a huge potential for businesses to grow in the townships. So basically, all this money, these are 400 billion, actually gets spent basically into these companies that are flighted here. You know, most of us will know that we spend our money on DSTV, on Absa, Nedbank, Sanlam, etc. We don't have like black businesses that are actually operating into the space. So in conclusion, quickly, I've done some modeling on the township economy, but I cannot present it here. It's a business idea of mine, and it will come into life very soon. So what I found is that many people in the townships, they like to work in silos, and that is not enough to build wealth. You cannot sell tomatoes alone, and then because somebody would want to buy tomatoes, bananas, cabbage, you know, at one space. So now if you're selling tomatoes, they might be discouraged to come and buy from you. They might want to go into a central place where they can get everything. So in order to assist township business people, because if you want to go to banks, to these government finance institutions, it's very difficult to find to get funding. So stokvels, you know, that we have been using to save money for the whole year and buy groceries at the end of the year, can now be used to save money to start businesses. Crowdfunding initiative, cooperatives, etc. All of those can be used in raising capital to start businesses in the township. This would actually give for example, if you come in as a group of people with a large sum of money, that actually gives you massive buying power, and you can actually negotiate cheap prices, you know, where you're going to buy your goods and services in the wholesale market. There's a huge market in the townships for retail, for shops, for insurance, for banking and other financial services. You know, we've got a lot of Black people who are qualified, you know, in finance, in accounting, in economics, and we work for these corporates, but none of us have actually even thought about starting insurance company or a bank, or we've tried some banks which have failed, like VPS and others, and UBank. So, but I think there's still a market in the townships for a Black entrepreneur to come and introduce these financial services products that they're actually buying from your white monopoly capital companies per se. So there's a huge potential to capture the township consumer purse and grow business. So also get tenders and also assist the government in creating employment. So thank you very much. I'll end there with my presentation.
Thank you, Lwazi, for your presentation. Well thought of, nice stats for any of us who's interested in stats. We urge you to go deeper and start research. And then we, Roland noted, I'll come to you. And then with the pandemic, which has hit us, which is COVID-19, we have seen a lot of people deciding either to go and work in their township. Some they decided to go and work in rural areas. But still, when they are in township and or either in rural areas, their consumption, they are still spending money outside of the township. Then we are saying, while you are working in the township, how do you ensure that you source the stuff from the township? How do you support the township economy? Where are the benefits? There are things like logistics, which are not fully realized. There are things like the internet connection, which is in other countries, there's a lot of shops which are opening internet, but in South Africa, we are very low. There's no, for children or for adults to access internet, they have to stand next to the fence of the high school, maybe then Pimville, so that they can access internet from the school. What are the quick wins that we are not realizing? And thank you for highlighting those obvious things that we need to take steps to fix them. I saw Ere raising a hand. I'll just go to Ere. Anything that you want to say?
I just wanted to give a point of clarity or correction on something that Lwazi mentioned regarding the investment vehicles. I saw he mentioned asset classes as the investment vehicle. So I needed to clarify, Lwazi, if you will allow me to, that there is a difference between asset classes and investment vehicles. What you listed on your presentation is actually the asset classes, the 4 basic traditional asset classes, which is equity, bonds, cash, and property. However, investment vehicles on the other side, according to the South African Savings Institute, they've classified investment vehicles as bank savings, direct JC investments, endowments, unit trusts, guaranteed products, stokvels, property, offshore investing, own business, and investment trust, as well as retirement products. So I just wanted to give clarity on that.
Thank you, Ere. You know, Lwazi has moved different sectors. He has moved to UIF now, and might have missed some of the investment, but thank you for adding them, expanding on what Lwazi has already alluded. I designed a few questions. I'm just going to ask 2 questions to Lwazi, and I'll also ask 2 questions to Ed. I'll just ask those who are participating, if they've got questions, they can just type it there. I'll read it for my speakers. Okay. I'll start with you, with you, Lwazi. You, oh, sorry, in this question. Okay. Oh, did I delete my question to you, Lwazi? Okay. Let me just ask well. I think like I've deleted my question to Lwazi, but I do have them in a copy, don't worry. And I just want to ask you this question, which, especially with us young people, you know that we're discussing the township economy. What are the dangers where you see that you have worked for 20 years, but now you've got appetite to go and start business and participate in this township economy? And as young people, we go and withdraw our funds so that we can be able to fund the business and participate in the township economy and the mainstream economy. What are the dangers of us taking our pension funds and seeding it into the business, hoping that the business will be successful?
Well, I, as a young person, speaking on behalf of other young people, I am against withdrawing pension funds, especially if you're still young. I disagree with people withdrawing from their pension funds. It's something that we even try and discourage young people from doing it, because often what has happened is that, actually, I do need to mention this. Currently, as it is, only 6% of South Africans can afford to retire comfortably. The rest of the 94%, they cannot even fathom the idea of going on pension or retirement, because in truthfully speaking, they cannot afford to go on pension or they cannot afford to retire. And one of the biggest contributors of why only 6% of South Africans can afford to retire is because often at times when people are still young and they're busy changing jobs, migrating between jobs, they always cash their pension, which is, again, something that I have said that I am totally against. I don't even advise for people to do that. Reasons being that there's tax considerations. One needs to take into account that when you decide to withdraw your pension fund, the tax treatment that you get from SARS is completely different from the tax treatment that one will get when they are formally retiring from their employment at the age of retirement. That's the first issue. To even give an example of what do I mean by tax treatment, if you are withdrawing anything between 1 Rand and 25,000 Rand from your pension fund, you pay 0% tax. However, if you are withdrawing above 25,000 Rand, your tax rate ranges from a minimum of 18% up until to 36%. So with that example, you can see that the more you withdraw from your pension fund, the more tax you are bound to pay as a penalty, if I should put it. Secondly, research has actually shown that people that withdraw money from their pension fund to go start a business, it's literally 50% of that business becoming successful. I know a lot of case studies of people who withdrew their pension fund to go start a business, and it was just a total failure. Just last week, I was chatting to someone who actually did the same thing. Withdraw the pension fund, went to buy taxis. I think that person bought 4 taxis. As we speak, all the taxis are gone. They've been repossessed. They've gone back to the bank. And that is just one of the biggest dangers that happens. And I've seen it a lot in Black societies, amongst us Black people. Whenever we have a lump sum, that is pension lump sum, we think of starting a business. But one thing that people don't understand, and this I speak from an academic point of view, is that not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur. We shouldn't try and drive the point of entrepreneurship to everyone and force it to everyone, whereas not everyone is going to be an entrepreneur. If we were all supposed to be entrepreneurs, that means we wouldn't even have employees working for us. That's just a fact. So I always discourage young people from withdrawing their pension fund. The other reason also why it's very dangerous for one to withdraw the pension fund is that if you are, say, for example, 30 and you decide to cash in all of your pension, say, for example, your pension is around 800,000 Rand, you were probably working a very good job with a good contribution towards your pension. You decide to withdraw your 800,000 Rand. It means that for your next job that you are starting, say at 31, you're going to have to work 2 times harder to even make up for the 800,000 Rand that you've withdrawn. And secondly, you are starting from ground zero. What guarantee and surety do you have that by the time you turn 60 and you want to go on pension, you will have an excess of 800,000 Rand as compared to the one that you've withdrawn? I mean, the COVID pandemic has literally, it shook the grounds for so many businesses, for people, individual people in all levels. It literally shook the ground to an extent that your job security is everything, so as much as your pension security. So yeah, I am against withdrawing pension money to actually go start a business.
Thank you, Ede. I'll just pose a question to Lwazi. Luckily enough, I've managed to find the question that you prepared us. The question is always missing when, okay. But my question was, Lwazi, was what, when we look at the township economy, what is the source of the investment capital that is coming to the township? And then what are the core drivers for the township investment? Where is the money coming from as investment? I see a lot of malls are being built. And then what are the core drivers? What is driving the businesses to the township, or what can drive the business to the township?
Okay, so as I've mentioned, that majority of township businesses are small SMMEs and small players. Mainly, as Alwani has just mentioned, that she's against people taking their pensions and provident funds to go and invest in businesses. However, most of the people that I know who have started businesses, some of them have succeeded, some of them have failed. They've used their savings from their pension funds and provident funds to start those businesses. One of them, it's a friend of mine, Talifani Banks. He started analytics advertising from his pension from ABSA. Analytics advertising is actually doing very well today. So there are stories of success, and also probably there are stories like the one of the taxi owner who bought taxis, and today all of that business has gone under. So other sources of funding for businesses is loans from banks and from government agencies. You know, those that can afford to get those loans. The malls is your big investors. You know, the people who have got all the money. They are the ones who go and build the malls, the Maponyas of this world, the Mr. Nkunas of this world. They go and build the malls in the townships, and then they lure the big retailers into the townships. Those are some of the investors. Also, private equity and venture capital is also quite big in the townships. You know, angel investors, people who have got lots of money. They see that you have got a business idea, and then they try their luck with you. You know, you give them a share in your business. An example of that, but it was not in the township, Discovery Life. It was started like that with an angel investor who invested in Adrian Bo's idea, and today it's a big business. What will be the core drivers of township investments? So at the moment, it's infrastructure development. You know, that's what is giving and bringing investment into the townships. Also, you know, social capital, you know, networks and relationships that people are building, and then they eventually start businesses. Others who tell success stories of businesses that they've operated into the townships can also give others who are outside of the township business space to come and invest in the township. So for me, those would be my core drivers into the township economy. Thanks.
Thanks, Lwazi. Just a last question before I open to people to ask questions. Lwazi, you spoke about property investment, especially the malls which are mushroom. But I also see the potential in the I don't know whether we can call it backroom or where people are renting the space in someone's backyard. And then we've seen companies coming to South Africa, companies like Airbnb, companies like Uber, and now the middleman business. Why are we not tapping into the market, which is the property market in informal property market in a township, where we create we can see a payment method management companies, where we have got someone in Pinville or someone in Soweto managing all the properties in Soweto, opening a big office where for you to get a room in Soweto, you don't have to go house to house knocking, looking for house, but you can just go to the platform, secured platform, authorized land, property owners, and then secured rent owners, so that you merge the people who are looking for space and those who have got space. Why things like that in the economy you think we are not interested in? Like, because you spoke about how do we group ourselves and build economy where everyone can participate in a simple manner.
Okay, for me there are two things. So investment in the township business, the Ubers, Airbnbs that are coming into the townships, they've seen an opportunity. But for many people, investment in the township economy is considered as a risky business, especially property investors. People who want to invest in property, build property and sell in the townships, they've got a risk, the risk that somebody can decide to erect shacks next to your development, and that can bring down the price. That's the risk that the property developers have to face, and it has put some of them off in terms of investing in property in the townships. But in terms of your Airbnbs, your Ubers of this world, most of the people in the township would like to get into those businesses. As I have said earlier in my presentation, that the funding is the problem. So it will make sense for people to come together as groupings, save money, and be able to say, for example, buy that first unit, that they can rent out, as an Airbnb, or buy that first car as an Uber. You see, it's better if like 10 people come together and they work together. Of course, the returns and the margins are going to be very low, but with time, they will be able to buy their second house or their second room or their second car and so forth. So yeah, for me, for the people in the townships to be able to tap into the township economy with the assistance of the government, of course, as I've mentioned earlier, of the Township Economic Development Act, that will have these demarcated areas whereby they can have stacked benefits for them. So probably if they would build that Airbnb there in those enterprise development zones, then they can get some government assistance as well. So yeah, that's the only way I can see most of the people getting into the township economy and benefiting from it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Loaz. You're advocating for state-led development, where we see like the government of Gauteng being led by under MEC Parkstar, taking initiative to start redefining the township economy. And then I see this question on the chart, and then the concern is that the township economy, it has been transferred to the foreigners, people who are not South African, and then also there is a potential for locals to participate. How do we work together to ensure that as foreigners investing, we also get a stake in the economy? I'm not
okay, let me try, and then Aluwani will come after me then. So for example, the model that has been used by the Somalians, Pakistani, and the Bangladeshi in terms of the spaza shops in the townships, that is why they've been able to take over all over the country is because of this model of working together, coming together, bringing resources together. Not, I like to use this example of Chomosono, not one businessman doing everything. You know, you are the driver, you go and get your stock, you are also the shop owner, you are the cleaner in your shop. So the Pakistanis, their model, instead of trying to push them away, you know, I know some people will say to and them, but that will never work because these guys are here already, and some of them already have got papers, you know, and the government has got a duty when it has provided asylum to these guys to ensure that they are able to eke out a living in the country. So for us to be able to counter that strategy, the only way is to come up with clever plans, like coming together, going to buy in bulk, getting price discounts, you know, so that you can be able to beat them pound for pound in the townships. When they sell bread for 5 rand, we sell it for 4 rand. So the people will start coming to our shops as well. We might eventually even push them outside of the township's spaza shop economy. All right, thank you. I think Aluani can take the other one.
Ellen, do you wanna?
Yes, which question? Sorry, I'm moving between the chat and the Q&A to read the questions.
Okay, the question is from Eddie.
Eddie, foreigners have taken advantage of the township economy and its potential before locals did. Is that the question? The concern, is that the concern?
The question is, how do we participate with the foreigners in this economy? Because like Loazi says, the issue of saying that is go, that one it won't work. Remember, South Africa is a national country, yes. We are a member of the UN. Then how do we find solutions which are workable for a win-win solution going forward?
Well, the way how I see it is that one of the ways, actually what I think might work is the creation of quality products, because already we know there is a gap in the spaza shops or the spaza businesses that is created by foreigners. There is already a gap that exists, and which is them selling expired products that we know for a fact, and that's number one. Number two, there is a gap from the South African business owners. What I've seen in comparison to the foreigners is that they are extremely friendly. You walk into the shop, they cater to you. They cater to you with a smile. If you are 1 rand short, they will still sell the product to you. And they're just extremely friendly. They blend in with the locals. So one of the biggest challenges that I see with our South African business owners is that when one starts a business and the business looks like it's succeeding or it's becoming successful, all of a sudden they feel like they've made it to the top. They don't want to talk to the low class people, if I should classify it in that manner. So there needs to be a change of mindset from us as South Africans, Black South Africans. Then there needs to be a change of mindset where we actually change our mindset to say, look here, the people that I'm going to be competing with, they are very friendly. They cater to their needs. However, they are not providing quality products. That's where there is a gap, and we can actually step in to fill in that gap.
Thanks, Ede, for answering that. Yeah, I think she mentioned one of the ingredients that the guys are friendly. The guys can give you things on credit. Also, to add on what Loazi alluded, is that they've got stock fares. These people, you come here today, they start sponsorship for you. They give you a loan. After a year or 2 years, you have repaid the loan. You come, you find another business person, and then they don't mind having someone closer to them. You can find that they are operating 100 meters from each other because they are captured. They check the footprint. There's a lot of people here. Then they capture the market. I think that's one of the things that we have to, going forward, we have to learn. How do we work together? How do we participate as a group? And then this question from Kinsley. Kinsley was asked, Kinsley is asking, does the Township Economy Act talk to establishment of industrial economic zone. Just to add on the East question to say, because with lots of things that we're consuming now, they're coming from Asia. When we build these new industrial zones, how do we ensure that we are competitive to products which are coming from China, which they are very cheap? And then we find that we might find that our capital investment is too high. We are forced to overprice our products. How do we protect ourselves? Lwazi?
So thanks, Teddy. You see, this subject is very also close to my heart. It's actually in one of the platforms. Some of my colleagues who are here on this webinar will know about. We always chat about these things. We talk about them all the time. How MEC Parkstar. I think this was started by MEC Maile in 2015 when he was still the MEC of Economic Development. When they came up with this idea of these specific zones within the townships that will get preferential everything from the government. How even these industrial zones whereby you can have these firms and factories that are going to be closer to the township and producing all these goods and services and supplying the townships. The risk there also is exactly what you are saying, that the cost of capital and the cost of manufacturing of those businesses could prove to be higher than, for example, the goods which have been produced in China. Remember, here in South Africa, we adhere to the Labor Relations Act, to the labor laws. We've got minimum wage, we've got all those things. But in other countries, they don't adhere to those things. Like in China, I know some of the Chinese companies tried to do the same here, and the owner was arrested about a week ago, whereby they would put people in sweatshops and lock them up for 7 days for 24/7 to be working, and producing goods very, very cheap. And then they come and bring them into the country. So what the government can do is to renegotiate our trade treaties, as well as our tax at the points of entry. They need to make sure that a good that comes outside of the country is no more cheaper than a good that is produced in the country. At least that will bring the goods produced outside and internally into par, so that people cannot say, no, I'm going to buy the goods from China because they are cheaper than the ones. Otherwise, all this exercise of all these billions they want to pump into this economic development zone will be wasted. I'm telling you, you build those factories, those firms, they'll buy those machines, and hire people, but there won't be anybody to sell those goods and services to. So the point must also be to control what is coming into the country. We don't know what subsidies those businesses are getting from their countries of origin. So the duties that are charged on products coming into South Africa must really be such a way that they don't make those goods cheaper than the ones produced in the country, unless that good is a scarcity. We don't produce it here in South Africa. Thanks.
Thanks, Lwazi. Juliet has asked a very, very difficult question. I'm not sure if we've got capacity to answer it. Juliet questions concerned about the crime in township. Security and safety needs to be seen as a serious light. Crime affects how far. Say the growth of business in township sometimes is affected by the crime. You might remember, if we can take example, in Durban, there was a July, they call it July riot, where business were looted. For businesses which I know some big business, they do have insurance from insurance industry. I work in insurance industry. We just shifted that blame to Sasria. That Sasria is gonna, because it's a riot, insurance are not involved. Sasria had to settle, I think, 20 billion estimated claims, and the National Treasury had to issue a guarantee of 5 billion to reinforce Sasria. Then how do we protect ourselves from issues of safety and security, that our business don't get looted? I'm not an advisor. I would suggest that if you are a business owner, take insurance, you might not protect us. You might not take a big cover to say maybe you've got stock of worth of 300,000. The premium is too high. You can take insurance for half of the asset that we have. And once you do that, that allows you to be covered by SASRIA, especially when people are looting, when there's riots, people burning your tuck shop. Then SASRIA your insurance will be able to claim from SASRIA. Then you are covered. You just have to assess the risk. What are the risks that you're facing as a business? And then from there you can respond based on the risk that you're facing. That's my advice that I can give, that take insurance. SASRIA will cover you against the risks. I'm not sure if LA, if you've got any suggestion for someone who's got fear that they don't want to invest in Township because the security is not guaranteed.
Well, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Oh, okay, sorry. So in my case, the way how I view the township economy and the concept at large, especially the business opportunities that exist in the townships, is that one needs to first do a thorough search and study and a look through into the economy itself and identify what business do you think will survive. One of the things that I learned, I've never stayed in the township, but I always visit. I have family there. I come from a village, so I can only talk about rural areas and rural development. But one of the things I've observed in the townships is that they have a similar principle and similar concept that we have in the village, whereby you need to be a people's person for your business to thrive and survive in the townships. It's the same concept even in the rural areas. So we get situations whereby in the rural areas, your neighbors will literally protect your business. Should something happen, they will be there for you, they will stand for you, they will fight for you. And from my observation, what I've seen is that you get people that actually create businesses, very sustainable businesses, lucrative businesses, and the business owner tends to alienate themselves from the people who are the customers. There's a saying in my language, I'm not sure if I'll be able to directly translate it to English, but you can help me there, Teddy, customer doriwa, which directly translate what a customer is, what a lotion you put on. I'm not sure if it makes sense. So, but if we use that saying, it basically means that you need your people that you are going to be catering to. Do not start a business in the township and then ship off to Sandton to go operate from Sandton, whereas your business is in Zola, for example. I'm just using that as an example. The people will not even relate to you. I just want to give a quick example of something that is currently happening. There's a lady, she's actually from KwaMashu. She was born and bred in KwaMashu. She moved to the US 20 years ago. She is now, as I speak, she's in Thailand. And what she's doing in Thailand is that she wants to start a manufacturing business, a manufacturing hub in Southeast Asia. So what she did was that she took all of her savings, packed her bags, and went to Southeast Asia. The first country that she's doing is Thailand, which she's completing this week. And next week, she's going to Indonesia. I think the next country after Indonesia is Vietnam. Why is she doing that? It's just that she has the luxury of doing it, but not everybody has the luxury. However, I would like us to take the principle that she's applying, because I believe that's also applicable in the township. What she's doing in Southeast Asia is that she wants to identify manufacturing sources whereby she can directly source fabric from the locals and have the locals make the products that is going to be clothing clothing. And she's saying in one of her business models, she's saying that she wants to bridge the gap between young Black business owners that want to thrive in the textile industry, but the prices are just too high. They can't even penetrate the market. And she's saying that, look here, I'm going to go and establish a manufacturing hub in Southeast Asia. But first and foremost, I'm going to go study the market. I'm going to befriend myself with the locals. I'm going to become one with the locals and speak their language so that they can trust me. And I mean, I foresee that business becoming one of the most successful businesses that we're going to talk about in the next 2 to 5 years to come. Again, the principle is the same. We can still apply it even in the townships, whereby you immerse yourself in the township, become one with the people that you want to cater to, and not alienate yourself from them. So that's basically how I see it.
Can I come in as well, Teddy?
Yes, you are accepted, Lazi.
Okay, just quickly. Also, the risk, of crime in the township is high. That we all know. For example, a person like myself who's a budding entrepreneur, I've got brilliant ideas that I've developed, that I need to implement, especially in the township. The problem is that now you go and implement those ideas in the townships without crime safety, it becomes difficult when you're going to come and introduce a disruptive idea in the township, and then somebody threatens you with a gun or whatever, or demands 30% of that business without actually even doing anything. So I would say the government needs to come in. The government of South Africa, it's about time it puts its foot down now to say, we can't continue like this for longer, because people are now leaving the country. People with ideas are now leaving the country because we are afraid to go into the townships, because there's bantins there, people who are waiting with guns to threaten anybody who wants to come and do business in the township. They just want to get a stake in your business. Whether they produce anything or they assist you with anything, it's just that they just want that 30%. So the government and the law enforcement agencies and the laws of this country really need to change before all these beautiful acts, can be promulgated and then implemented in the townships, because it will just be a waste, and a waste of billions again. Thank you.
Thank you, Lars. The issue of security for investors, I think those who are close to the bill, those who participate in the government when they are drafting white papers, I think we should also raise those questions that what is it that we see the investment that you want to put in township, but what is it that what assurances are you giving to township people that if they invested, their business are well secured? Maybe by default, my passion is in transport. Loizi, you can see before COVID, there was few delivery companies where they are operating now. You can see Checkers, Pick and Pay, they entering that market. And then what I'm seeing, the response from township is appalling. From transport student is appalling. What can you do to ensure that because I think in Gauteng only, by unlocking transport, you can create 100 jobs next month. Because if we can get scooters which can move goods and people within the township, we are having township in City of Tshwane, in Ekurhuleni, in Sidibeng, and City of Joburg. What is it that we're doing to get quick wins? Because we can see it's happening in the suburbs. Delivery guys are going up and down, delivering using the scooters. What is it that we're doing to participate in township using that mode of transport, which is more easier, efficient, it can enter anywhere without any hindrances? And then what relationship can we form with the taxi drivers, because that also is going to be one of the hurdles that we need to fix. what advice can you give us that how do we participate using
I think it's May edition of Leadership magazine. It was actually given to me by one of the comrades in the branch, Comrade Inos Mujan. So I read the article there. There's a guy called Mandla Lamba. Maybe some of you might have known him before. He used to call himself the youngest billionaire in South Africa back, I think, about 10 years ago. So what he has done, this guy, he has started a company called Agility. So Agility is sourcing the same small scooters and is going to create a factory here in the country to produce those scooters. Those scooters will run only on electricity. So they will be like, what do they call them? The green scooters. So yeah, he wants to introduce those scooters into the townships so that people don't use the public transport anymore. They can just buy a scooter. I think he said the starting price will be like 40,000 rand. Then you have got your scooter. You can charge it overnight and then use it for the whole day. Then the challenge again, which we just brought in, is the challenge of competition from the taxi owners. You know, they will feel that somebody is now taking their bread and then they're going to start the war. So the government again will have to manage such a situation before it gets out of hand. But there's already a guy who's brought in that idea already into the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Lars. I'm not sure if there's any question from the attendees. That okay. Just question just came in now. I just want to see this coming from. I think it's from Lucky. Just lost that question. I'm trying to scroll the question. I've lost Lucky's question. I'm not sure if you can see it, my fellow panelists. My screen is failing me. I'm trying to read the comments, see if there's any question directed to.
I don't see a question from Lucky.
Yeah, it seems like
it's actually not a question, it's just an apology.
Just a comment.
Okay, that's fine. If there's no other question, any other, I'm not seeing any other question. I think from my side, I've exhausted all my questions. I just wanna give you two. I'll take it back to Ere and Lwazi, maybe to give us the closing remarks before I close the meeting. Lwazi, can you just give us the closing remarks from here?
Okay, thank you, Teddy. My closing remarks are that, you know, as I've mentioned before, you cannot talk now in South Africa about the township economy without talking about, especially here in Gauteng, I don't know whether other provinces will implement it, the Township Economic Development Act. And I would ask anyone who's interested in starting a business in the township to go and read that document. So the act now, it's law. It's no longer a bill. It's now a law. So even it doesn't matter who's in charge of Gauteng, it can be ANC today, it can be DAEFF, or whoever is in charge in Gauteng tomorrow, the bill or the act will remain because it's law. So it has to be implemented. All its prescripts and all what it wants to achieve in the township has to be implemented. The 40% procurement, the economic zones, you know, the assistance in funding, etc. All those things will have to be implemented. So I just think that the government will need to raise awareness, you know, amongst the people in the townships, go on road shows, you know, and then educate people about this act and what benefits it will provide for them and how they can participate in the township economy. I believe that there's immense potential in the township economy. And lastly, what I'm doing now is probably going to also assist with people in the township. You know, a lot of people, and I heard Alwani speaking about the different types of investment. So I just took it from the underlying investments of the portfolios, not what is actually sold in the market. I'm not a financial advisor. So, but the people in the township always think about investment, as the JSE, getting a policy with a life insurance company, having an advisor advise you. Most people cannot do that. So what I'm developing will cater for the lower segment, the mass market, the lower segment of the population, and then just watch the space, and then it should come to fruition very soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lwazi. Ere, your closing remarks.
On my side, I'm one of those young stars that have actually lost hope in the government. I'm now at that stage where I believe that for one to see themselves successful and make something out of their own future, we just need to take matters into our own hands and create something. In the township economy, more especially, one of the things I strongly believe in is basically creating products and services that will cater to the needs of those that are in the townships. Do not try and create a product or service that will cater to the need of someone who's in Waterfall or VNA or Fenton City. No, create a product that will cater to the needs of your neighbor, the needs of your cousins, the basic products. And also coming back to the investment side, being an investment specialist, I always say it, if something is too good to be true, do not take it. A lot of our fellow Black people are falling into the hands of scammers who tell them that give me your 10,000 Rand, I will triple it. That's impossible. I spend almost 90% of my time studying investments, anything related to investments. My master's research is investments related. So my word of caution or advice to you is, if anything is too good to be true, then it is indeed too good to be true. Do not fall into the trap. And gone are the days where someone will come and lie to you and tell you that the JSE is only accessible to those with money. No, that is not true. It is accessible even to the lower class people. I know a lot of people in the townships that have opened that are using the Easy Equity app as an example to learn how to buy shares and stocks and also trade in cryptocurrency. Those are just simple basic platforms that are available for one to use, instead of just entrusting someone with your 100,000 Rand or your 10,000 Rand that you have spent years and years saving and for them to go and blow it. So please do not fall victim of the scammers when they come and tell you that I can double or triple your money overnight. That is impossible. It does not work like that. So yeah, that's just about it from me. I see questions of people asking how can they access me. Teddy, you can share my email address with them. I have tried to respond to some of them on the chat.
Okay, no problem. I think I'll share your email address. And then for Lwazi, people are asking, how do they get in touch with our panelists? Are you also open for interaction with the attendees?
Yes. So what I was actually planning to do is that once the product has been finalized, you see, there's a lot of regulation that I still need to go through. There's loops and loops. They did that and that and that. From the Prudential Authority. So once I've got all that regulation in order, then we're about to launch the product. Then probably we might have to come back again on a platform like this and then try and explain to people how it's gonna work, and then they can have access to us at that moment. So for now, let me just work and finalize the final steps on the product, and then very soon we'll send an announcement again to say this is what we are planning to do. Walala wasal. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Lwazi. I think also from our branch, PMF Soweto, we also like to work with you so that you help us as we develop this chapter of township economy. We want to consult with you and then draw from your wisdom. we will also welcome to be part of this product to get a preview, so that where we see it fit, we can push it to transform the township economy. And then we'll share, we'll try to share Eda's email should you need to speak to her, and then she's accessible on the email. We also want to thank everyone who took their time and then to attend this webinar. We know that it's a very condensed time that we have, and topics are very broad because each topic it opens a can of worms that we need to discuss. We're hoping next time we'll have enough time. Maybe it will be in person where people can engage with other openly. But we just want to thank you to say you've taken your precious time from your family to be with us. We really appreciate that. And then we also encourage people to go and read the bill on the township economy, so that when we engage on this journey, we are also aware of what needs to happen, what actions we need to do. Thank you very much for attending.